And I will say too, and I guess we'll just touch on this because obviously we had a big loss in the wrestling world recently with the passing of Jay Briscoe, which, was tragic and obviously unexpected. And I just got back not that long ago from the funeral. I went up to Delaware and just to pay my respects. And man, it was fucking amazing, right? It was the strength and resolve of the Pugh family. Jamin Pugh is his real name, right? Jay Briscoe, his stage name. Mama and Papa Briscoe, Mark, his brother, just his whole family. It amazed me to see the strength and resolve that they all showed while we were there. They're so committed to their faith and their belief. They're very religious people, but their conviction is so strong that it's allowed them to really take this tragedy in stride and really believe that God has a plan and that you can't change God's plans. And it gave them a level of peace and strength that was remarkable. And it seemed like they were in some ways more concerned how everybody else was holding up as opposed to how they were. And, obviously it was one of those situations, and I heard it a lot that day, where we all hated why we were there, but what we were a part of was so beautiful. The impact that Jay had on people, not just within the wrestling community, but within his community of Laurel. I mean, he was like
the whole family's pretty big in the community, right? I mean, they're pretty well known and very involved. Yeah,
very involved. The gymnasium where they had the service is named after his grandfather, right? I mean, so they've been cornerstones of that community for a long time. And I'm telling you, they completely filled the gymnasium and had 2 overflow rooms because it was literally a sellout, right? Like Jay Briscoe sold out Laurel,
yeah.
And it was just an amazing experience. Saw so many people that I haven't seen for 5-10 years within the wrestling community. And that was the one thing, was like, you realize what a big dysfunctional family we really are and how special that is. And yeah, we all hated why we were there, but we were so grateful to be there and to see so many people and give people hugs and tell them we loved them and kind of share that. And so, just, a lot of emotions. And again, not where we wanted to be for the reason we were there, but it was an amazing, beautiful experience. And, just sending my love to the whole Pugh family and also just, man, a tip of my cap to just the amazing strength and resolve that they showed through this and continue to show moving forward. So sort of touch on that a little bit. So it was,
such a underrated, wrestling wise, such an underrated tag team. So freaking good. Easily one of the best tag teams I've ever seen. I mean, they're incredible. And
yeah, I mean, if they're not in the top 5 of all time, then I have to question, your opinion when it comes to pro wrestling. And I think that just from a wrestling standpoint, was here they're brothers, like so identical in so many ways, yet completely different, like different styles in the ring, different styles when it came to cutting promos, and each of them could stand on their own, and obviously Jay showed that by winning, a couple of world championships as a singles wrestler. So yeah, I mean, just a bond of connection and longevity. To me, they're up there in that top 5 of all time. No doubt.
There's a feel-good moment here. Is there like a story you can share that's awesome from, I'm sure, because you guys are around each other quite a bit.
Yeah. So here was one of the funny things that we also said this weekend. As we all shared stories amongst each other, we all said, man, we could never tell these stories publicly, right? We couldn't. Listen, first of all, a lot of current day wrestling fans need to understand that 20 years ago, 15 years ago, the wrestling world was different. The world as a whole was different. And what was acceptable and not acceptable was different, right? And so, a lot of the shenanigans and things that we got ourselves into 15 plus years ago as younger gentlemen, before we had families, before we had kids and families and matured, are things that, quite frankly, I wouldn't dare repeat here, because in this cancel culture, it'd be opening up a can of worms that doesn't need to be opened up. So the funny part was, as we shared a lot of these stories, we realized that we could only share them amongst each other, but we couldn't necessarily share them in a public forum. I think that as a story in and of itself, was kind of funny. But listen, I've been in the ring with those guys as partners, as competitors, and one thing about them was passion and intensity. And they're gonna bring that out of you, and that's something I've always tried to do in the ring, right? Like bring a level of passion and intensity that would force my opponent to have to step his game up if he wanted to survive, if he wanted to thrive, and those guys, were the ultimate measuring stick when it came to tag teams, to see exactly where you stood, and but the thing about Jay was, and this was said, he was a man's man, which is a man that other men look up to and respect. And, he had this hard, rough exterior, but man, when you got to the inside, he had a huge heart, he really did. And loved everybody, no matter their differences, where they came from, what they were about. And that really, that's a reflection of, again, their faith, and how they try to, do as Jesus would do, as they would say, and that's to love unconditionally and meet people where they're at, not where you want them to be.
Well, yeah, and they're obviously in need. If possible, people should help if they can, and I'll try to get a link up in the description.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wanted to make sure that, and obviously thoughts and prayers with his family.
And you could do it a couple ways.
Just him impacted.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, his two daughters, who, for all things considered, were in good spirits. And you could donate money. I think it's I'm not sure what platform they're using. Go, Give, Send, or something. I'm not familiar with these. Or you go to Pro Wrestling Tees and order one of the Reach for the Sky Jay Briscoe t-shirts. All the proceeds for that will go directly to the family. 100% of the proceeds. So that's cool, because it's a cool shirt, and obviously going to a good cause.
All right. This is Jeff Townsend. Thanks for checking out the Austin Aries show here on YouTube. If you're enjoying the show, please subscribe to it and share it with all your friends. There are plenty of more videos for you to check out in the meantime. And this content, of course, is available on all podcast listening platforms. If you want to learn more about the show, go to austinariesshow.com.